Welcome to Busted Outdoors. Well, it's that time of year again. There's a chill in the air, the kind that seeps beneath your skin. The trees bleed their colors into the earth, and the wind carries secrets through the dark. Candle flames flicker through freshly carved pumpkin grins, and something unseen watches from just beyond the light. In this special Halloween series, we lift the veil between the living and the dead, where every story takes you deeper into the shadows of those who never truly left this world. I'm your host, Patrick Landis. In this special edition, we explore spine-chilling encounters of haunted places, restless spirits, and mysteries that will make you question what may linger in the dark. So, sit back, turn the lights off, as the stories that we are about to share make you question what is real and what is not, and what is just a whisper away from your darkest fears. So settle in if you dare. The ghosts are waiting. Well, right over here with Larry Freund from Cloverdale. We don't live in Cloverdale. You work in Cloverdale.
Yep.
Okay. You live here in Putnam County.
Yep.
How long have you lived in Putnam County for?
I've lived in Putnam County now for going on, I'd say probably 4 or 5 years.
Okay. Oh, it's been a while.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I met you at the academy. I
Yep.
went to the academy together, class of 233
Yep.
in 2005. Wow, I just didn't think about that. Same year. But you're currently in law enforcement, police officer here in Putnam County.
Yep. Been there. So I started out, I grew up out in Owen County.
Mm-hmm.
Lived out there pretty much most of my entire life. Graduated high school from Cloverdale. Went and joined the armed services. Spent 8 years doing that.
Nice.
As a forward observer. And went from there. And after I got done with my Army career, I moved on to underground mining, doing limestone out in Indianapolis, and then moved from Indianapolis mining to out here in rural Putnam County to do some mining out here, which is more surface mining, and then got tired of that and missed the camaraderie of the military, so that's where I kind of went and started with the police department, because a good friend of mine was a sergeant there at the police department.
Mm-hmm.
Told me to try it out, and I've never looked back since.
Yeah.
So
It takes a certain person.
it does.
And I know you love it. I love it.
Yep.
So yeah, we work the same shift together, and hopefully that's going to
Hopefully
be a little better here in the near future. It's going to be. It's going to be because it has to be. So when you say underground mining, I didn't know you did that.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm picturing like the seven dwarfs and taking the cart down and the pickaxe. And so what did the underground mining? What's all that about?
So the underground mining was, it was actually kind of interesting. So you've got like your coal mines, which are I think what most people think of when they think of underground mining, and it's, the small shafts, and
exactly.
like they're just hardly able room to stand. But the limestone world was a lot different. So we were driving loaders, ginormous
big
haul trucks through there. I mean,
how deep are you?
they anywhere from 2 to 300, several hundred feet deep.
Wow.
They go out, and actually there's places out in Indianapolis where most people don't know, but there is underground mines that go underneath main roads, there
Like the
in
catacombs?
Indianapolis.
Yep. I've been in the catacombs.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's very, very interesting. It's quiet. That's the thing.
Oh,
It's cool.
yeah.
It's pretty much stays the same temperature all year round, and it is eerily quiet.
It was super neat.
Yeah. It is pretty neat to actually go, and takes a while to get used to. I got there starting out, and I'd get that anxiety about it, and I was like, oh man, I don't know about these mines.
No kidding.
But yeah, so it took me a while to get used to. About the same reason why I never joined the Navy, because I never really wanted to be stuck out on a boat in the middle of the ocean, like keeping my feet planted on the ground. But just learned that underground really wasn't my thing either.
No. Just level, nothing below, nothing above.
Yep.
So is it pretty creepy underground?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't terrible. I mean, it wasn't. I would listen to my paranormal podcasts. I'd
Mm-hmm.
listen to other podcasts and history, history lessons and whatnot. And then, you get out there, and the biggest thing that stuck out to me was when you would get out. You get there early in the morning. The sun wouldn't be up. You'd work all day. Come back out, and it'd be dark out still when you got done
Yeah,
with the day.
you
and,
never saw daylight.
Never saw
Oh
daylight.
my
And then
gosh.
you sit there and you listen to some of them podcasts about things that interest you, and it's like, oh man, this is kind of
Yeah.
living in that darkness. It's about
Oh,
like working
yeah.
day shift with the sheriff's department,
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So, but,
So, speaking of creepy, under the grounds, that's kind of what we're here for. You've got some pretty creepy ghost stories.
yep,
One, not so much a ghost.
Yep.
Kind of a different aspect, which is really hair rising, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's dive into that. So let's start. You mentioned a story about a house you used to live in, that back in the 20s, I think you said.
Yep.
Just tell me about that. Where was that located?
Okay. So this house was located on the west side of Indianapolis.
Mhm.
So the story behind this house was I was in the Army, and I had just gotten back. So I had been living in this house it was right next to my grandfather's house. So my grandfather, whenever I got done, he pretty much told me, he got me into the mining industry and the trucking industry and stuff like that, just around all that kind of stuff. So when I got back from the Army, he's pretty much had this house. He had bought this house that was next to him. He had fixed it up and was like, "You're a young man. I'm going to help you out. We're going to get you started here in this house and get you a job worked out here. And now that you're doing your stuff," and he was a great role model, and helped out tremendously, and still miss him dearly. He passed away a few years back.
Oh, gosh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. But yeah, he essentially, that's what had happened. So he had bought this house next to him on the west side of Indianapolis, and he had completely renovated this old house. So at the time, this house was a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 1 living room, kitchen, and then there was a basement.
Yeah.
So very, very, very small house. And the way he renovated was he put all new carpets in it, redid the walls, painted the walls, put all new appliances and whatnot in the kitchen. And so, because it's kind of important for the story, so this carpet that he put in was thick carpet. So when you went to shut a door, it took some force to actually close a door and get it to latch and shut, because of how fresh and new that this carpet was. So
Yeah.
I'd moved in and got started working, and started hearing some things, smelling some things, and seeing some things that were just unusual to me. So one of the first experiences I had inside this house was, once we had it set up, I was laying down, and the way the house was set was that the living room was essentially the entire front of the house. And then in one corner was the bedroom, and then in the other corner was the kitchen and the bathroom. So I was laying down on our couch in the living room watching a TV, and it was probably about 3 o'clock in the morning I woke up. So I woke up 3 o'clock in the morning because I smelled smoke, and it smelled like the house was on fire.
Mm-hmm.
So it scared me enough that I got up and flipped on the lamp that was next to my couch to try to figure out where the smoke was coming from.
Yeah.
And when I got up, I looked in to the doorway of our kitchen, and in this kitchen was a shadow figure, like of a shadow man. It kind of freaked me out because
Golly.
you hear a lot of these
Jeez.
stories that are about like the Hat Man and these shadow people and black-eyed children and all these things, like, in different entities that can interact with people. So it freaked me out, and I got up, and at that time I still slept. I mean, I keep a firearm with me wherever I go.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I thought there was somebody in my house, in my kitchen, and I got up and I walked into the kitchen, and when I got into the kitchen, it was gone.
So did you woke up you're on the couch. You saw this figure in the kitchen. Did the figure move, or was it still standing there?
It was still standing there. So that was the.
So it let you approach it before
Yes.
it. Okay.
So I got up, I turned the light on, and it was a shadow. And at first, I thought it was somebody standing.
So even with the light on, you could see it.
Well, that's the thing about that light. It wasn't like a super bright LED light. It was one of those cheap, I don't know, $3, $4, $5 lamps you can buy from a dang dollar store.
Yep. They're illuminated around it. Not
yeah,
so
and
much
it had
the
like
room.
a lampshade on it. And how the couch sat, the couch was in the farthest corner away from that.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
it illuminated where I was at, and it wasn't an LED light. It was just a normal, like a candle light bulb.
Yeah.
So turned it on, seen that, grabbed my gun because I thought somebody was in my house after smelling the smoke. And when I went to walk towards it, it just kind of like dissipated and it was gone. So when I walked in, things started going through my mind at this time. I was like, was it a shadow? Is there somebody in my freaking living, or like somebody in my kitchen? And like, what was going on at this time? And so I almost go into like clearing the house mode. I'm like,
right.
Is there somebody in the bathroom? Is there somebody by the door back by the kitchen? I wasn't really sure what was going on.
Was it just you in the house at this time?
It was just me in the house.
Oh, gosh.
So, and I lived there by myself. At the time, I was engaged to my ex at the time, and she would come periodically because she still lived out in Putnam County at the time. So she would come in when she wasn't working and stuff like that. But which, oddly enough, she actually did not experience anything.
No kidding.
Inside the house. It was always when I was by myself in the middle of the night. And I know a lot of people speak of that witching hour, 3 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
3 o'clock at night, and stuff
when the
happens.
veil is thin. Yeah.
Yep. So that was my first experience with whatever entity this was inside this house. I chalked it up to, me just kind of being tired. I wasn't really sure what was going on. But fast forward later on, and I lived at this house for probably about, I want to say, a year. So just things progressively started getting worse or more intense, I guess you could say, as the year went on. So my second experience inside that house was a similar situation. I fell asleep. I was on the living room couch watching TV.
Same couch, same area.
Yep, yeah. Same area, same couch, same time of night. Woke up to the smell of smoke. And at this time, I didn't see any entities. I didn't see anything like that. I just smelled smoke. So I got up and I turned the light on, same light, and the other side of the house where the bedroom was, that connects to the living room, where that thick carpet was. You remember earlier when I was telling you had to really pull the door closed because of how thick the carpet was. I got up, I smelled the smoke, and as soon as I stood up, that bedroom door slammed shut. I mean, just...
Oh, my God.
It rattled the walls inside the house, and it freaked. At that point, I grabbed my gun again.
Jeez, so it took some force to get that wall.
It took a tremendous amount of force to actually shut that door and latch that door with that thick of a carpet, that new carpet that was underneath it and all that. So at that point, I was certain that somebody was in my house.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I got up and grabbed my gun, again, going to like clearing the rooms out. So I swing the door open with my firearm, nothing. The only thing in there was a twin bed and a dresser and a closet. Looked in the closet, looked under the bed, looked through the entire room, and there was nothing in that room. I checked the windows, all the windows were locked. So there was nothing in that room, and no reason, like it couldn't have been a draft.
Right.
Like there's no way in my mind that could have ever been a draft with how hard it was to open and close that door. So that was my second experience. And as things like this started happening, just the smell of smoke, the first shadow experience, the door slamming shut, nobody being in that bedroom.
Yeah.
And just for a little bit of context, I've said it multiple times now, but I always slept with a firearm because I was born and raised out in Owen County, and I was living in Indianapolis. I was young, and I was like, I've never been in the big city before, so I always had my firearm by that lamp.
Yep.
So that's a little bit of context that'll be important for later on. But the third experience I had was several months later. I was in the same spot, laying down, watching TV, fell asleep, woke up, smell of smoke again.
It's been smoke. Okay.
Yeah. And it was always the smell of smoke. And, sometimes to me it smelled like the house was burning or something was on fire, like paper. It smelled like something was on fire.
Yeah. And during this time, the first time and the second time, after the apparition was gone, didn't see anybody, the door slammed, didn't see anybody, did you search the house for something burning?
So I looked around, but I never went into the basement. So
okay.
I always searched. Like, I was like, oh, maybe there's an appliance on that's burning or something, maybe an outlet is burned up or something. So I would search around the entire house minus the basement, because this basement of this house was an older house, and the basement was like almost like a cobblestone basement with a dirt floor.
Yep.
And it had several stone pillars that supported the house, and then about halfway up there was more blocks and then dirt that went into like crawl spaces underneath the house.
Exactly. So, that alone is creepy.
Yeah. And in that basement, the only thing that was in there was like a soft water. What are those called?
The water softeners?
Yes. It was a water softener. There was a water softener, and then there was an old lamp down there, like that hung off the roof.
Like a pull cord?
Yeah, like a pull cord.
Yep.
So, and then the water heater. So that was all there was inside that basement. So I didn't figure anything would be on fire down there, so I never went and checked. And it was also creepy as hell, and I didn't want to go down
I don't
in
blame
there,
you.
Especially by myself. Big bad army guy, and I'm just like, I don't know about that.
Nope,
I have to
I wouldn't
bless
either.
the room before I go in there. But yeah, so I would always search, and I would never find anything. So the third instance that happened was I was sitting in that same spot, sleeping, woke up to, again, the smell of smoke. And at this point, I had just gotten fed up with it. I was like, there is something on fire in this house. I've looked through the house so many times, and I can't find anything. I said, it has to be in the basement. So I mustered up all my courage. I grabbed a light, walked down there into the freaking basement, and it was weird because everywhere I walked in the basement, I could only smell smoke in one spot, and it was by this.
Oh, so you could smell it down there, though.
Yes.
Okay.
So it was behind and around this one stone pillar right in the middle of our basement. So the stone pillar was right there, and that's where the smell of smoke was coming from. And it blew my mind because next to that stone pillar, that's where the wall went halfway up and then went into the crawl space. And dirt floor, dirt crawl space. So I took my light, and there's cobwebs and spider webs and all sorts of other stuff that are sitting there.
Spiders.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of spiders myself, but so I took my light and I started searching around that old pillar, and in the dirt next to the pillar, halfway up the wall there, like where the crawl space begins, was a what are they called? It was like a photo album.
Okay.
So it was like a binder photo album, and in this photo album was old newspaper clippings, and I opened it up. I started going through it and reading some of it, and in these newspaper clippings was pictures of a house that had burnt down, and this house that had burnt down looked like the house that I was staying in. So, and in the headline, it had read something about how a family of three had died in a house fire.
Oh, my gosh.
So I remember my grandpa said that supposedly it had been an old house, and then it used to be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, but that it was when they renovated it and fixed it up, which was before his time, the first time they renovated it, it was just a 1-bedroom. So at some point, it had been a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, but now it was only a 1-bed, 1-bath house. So
the
to
rest
sit
of it
there,
burnt down.
Yeah, and that's what I was assuming was that this house was the house that I was staying at. And I mean, it was creepy. There was pictures of the family. There was the newspaper articles. There was a stump in the front yard. That was the same picture on the newspaper clipping, and it was all around that area.
No kidding.
You know, a lot of people, I thought that I was going crazy at some point in time because, you know, it's crazy how when a lot of these paranormal experiences happen, you would think that I found this, I'm going to keep it.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep this as evidence, but like, you know, I was so freaked out at the time, I just put it back and I just pretended it didn't happen. And after speaking with other people about it, it's actually, I found out that it's not that uncommon for people when they experience things like that to just be like, nope, this isn't happening. You know, I don't understand this. It can't be real. I'm not going to mess with this. I'm just going to put it back and I'm just going to act like it never happened. You know, same way with people who have that sleep paralysis. You know, there were people who see things, you know, in the corners of their room when they wake up and they just put the covers over their head and just pretend it didn't happen, and they go to look again and it's gone, and they're just like, okay, well, I'm going to go back to sleep. Most people would be, you would think that you'd be like, I need to get out of here, but like 9 times out of 10, those people just go back to sleep.
And that's every time I've seen things like that, I go right back to sleep.
Really?
I woke up to see 4 apparitions in my bedroom, and it goes away, and I'm like, oh, be damn, that was a ghost.
Isn't
I'm like,
that
go
odd?
back to sleep. Super odd.
It's like you would think you would be like worried, but that's a common reaction, just to go right back to sleep.
And I don't understand that, but yeah,
I don't either. It's intriguing to me, but so that is essentially the third experience that I had, and the fourth experience I had.
Oh, God, there's more.
Yes, this was.
Oh man,
this was the nail on the coffin for me when I finally decided that I was leaving, and my grandfather was. I told him the place was haunted, and he's like, "Yeah, you're insane."
Oh, he didn't believe it at all.
Yeah, he was not. He was not the religious type. He did not believe in any of that stuff. But to the day he died, he was like, "Yeah, I never experienced anything out there." He thought I was just insane, but it was very intriguing and very funny to me. But back to what I was saying, the final experience I had in that house, that was the final nail in the coffin for me, was I had been gone. I believe I was out seeing my fiance for the weekend out in Putnam County.
Mm-hmm.
I had came back, and when I came back, I unlocked the door. I walked inside, and all I could smell was gas. So
okay, like propane gas or gasoline?
Yeah, like the gas from a gas stove.
Okay.
So the house just reeked of it.
Oof.
So I had walked in, went into the kitchen, and every single burner on that gas stove was turned on.
Whoa.
I did not leave anything on. I did not cook for myself back then. I would just go out to eat.
Yeah.
I was, younger out in the city. I was like, I'll just go get me something to eat. Something had turned every knob on that stove on. So I had to air out the house. And I kid you not, I packed my stuff up that night and left. And
no kidding.
Yeah, it was insane to me. But later on in life, I kind of always told that story to my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I told that story to friends and family, and just thought it was weird with the way those newspaper articles were, and the pictures of the family. And it wasn't just like a photo of a family you'd see, like, oh, a tragic car accident, family died, something you'd see posted in an obituary. It was like personal family photos in this album.
Yeah.
I mean, it had the newspaper clipping, it had the picture of the house after it was on fire, and then it had like personal pictures of this family in there.
Yeah.
So
like old Polaroids?
Yeah, like old Polaroids and old pictures of this family. And it seemed more personal to me. That was the thing.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
like why, I mean, it was almost to me that maybe somebody who was there before had experienced something and done some kind of research into this house, or had some kind of experience. And it was odd to me just how all that smoke was in that one spot in the basement next to that photo album. It was just
like it wanted you to find it.
Like it wanted me to find it. Like it was almost like it was pissed off that, like, I would get up, I'd look, I'd smell smoke, and I wouldn't find anything. And then it just progressively got worse and
Yeah.
worse and worse. And then after I found the photo album was when whatever it was turned the gas stoves on.
Gosh.
And it was like it was getting progressively angrier and angrier and angrier. And I moved out, and a few years later down the road, I actually got in touch with some people and was able to find out a little bit of information about the house. So they couldn't determine when the house was actually built. They knew it was old. They knew that sometime back in the 20s that this housing division had came up and that they were getting ready to start building. But there's no records of when houses were built, just that they were starting to build houses in the 20s.
Yeah.
So we were never actually able, which is why I wish in the moment when I found that photo album that I would have kept it, but I just never did. Like that thing we were talking about earlier where I just never, it never crossed my mind. I was freaked out and I was like, this isn't happening. I put it back and just forgot about it.
Yep, exactly.
And it kind of probably hurts the credibility of it, but I've talked to people about it before and I was like, I put my hand on a Bible. I'm not lying. I swear on this. Like, it is truth, what I've experienced, and this is what happened. And as we did research on this house, we were never able to find any kind of evidence of a house fire.
Okay.
So that was the odd thing. But they were saying not that it never happened, it was just that there were no records. And back in the 20s and 30s and 40s, that part of Indianapolis wasn't Indianapolis. Indianapolis was more.
No kidding.
So this was
Okay.
before the city started spreading out. So they just didn't keep records on that stuff. We even went as far as trying to find and go through and look up old newspaper articles and couldn't find anything. And that was the weird thing to me, that we sat there and we tried finding this stuff. And I remember looking at that in that photo album, but yet we couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
We could not find anything on any kind of newspaper articles.
Kidding.
On all of our research, we couldn't find anything. But what we did find was later on, after they started keeping records and actually moving up and doing that stuff, what we did find was that there were 2 tragic events that happened inside that house. So one of them may or may not be considered tragic, but one of them was a man who passed away inside the house, and he was a chain smoker.
Okay.
He died of, sorry.
You're good.
He died of lung cancer, and he chain smoked all the time, and I guess had not a very good death, and his family wasn't really involved and all that stuff. So that was the first death that happened inside the house.
You know what year that was?
I cannot remember off the top of my head, honestly. I'd have to go back and actually look through those emails. So I've gotten some emails from a lady who helped me from the Indianapolis State Library.
Oh, okay.
And she was able to find a lot of this information for me. So
awesome.
Maybe on another episode or something, I can try to get back in touch with her and see if she can pull them back.
Oh,
up
that'd be
for
awesome.
me.
Yeah.
And I can forward that into you. But so that was the first death inside the house. The second one was a child that had passed away, and he and his friend had taken a gun from their father, and he didn't know that he had it. It was a handgun. They were playing and accidentally shot his friend, so his friend died inside the house.
Oh my gosh.
That was the second death that occurred there. But as I got to thinking about it, it was almost like, to me, I didn't know, it seemed like whatever it was wanting me to find that photo album.
Yeah.
But for some reason I couldn't find anything more on the research. But I remember clear as day going through that photo album, seeing the pictures, seeing the Polaroids of the family, seeing all that. And then after learning about the older man who had his issues and didn't live a very happy life, died pretty uncomfortably inside the home, and then followed by the tragedy with the 2 kids and the firearm. And it almost made a little bit of sense to me in a way, because I got to thinking about it. I was like, well, maybe I'm just going insane. Maybe this, what I thought was the smell of A house burning was that was just cigarette smoke.
That's
and
what I was
knew
going to ask. If you remember the difference, or not remember
Well,
the difference, but
that was
remember which
just
one it
it.
was.
I didn't. So when I smelled the smoke, it smelled like a house on fire.
Yeah.
It did
And
not
that's
smell like cigarette smoke.
Yeah, that's a smell that you know right when you smell it gets at home.
Yes. But the shadow figure I saw was not a child. It was a man.
Okay.
It was male stature or male sized person, a full size grown male. And that first experience I had. So I almost wondered if maybe that was him. Or maybe it was just something that was attached to the house previously that was just, maybe it was something unrelated. Maybe something was left behind and it wanted its story told. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not honestly 100% certain onto why that was the events that took place. I think that maybe the door being slammed was something being angry, because in my mind, I always had my firearm with me.
Yeah.
I always had a gun.
Oh, yeah.
I always had a gun on my dresser. I always had a gun with me. I always had wherever I went. So maybe it was a spirit of that boy or something that did not like firearms.
Right.
It had seen the suffering that those firearms has caused, and that's why it slammed the door. That's why.
Oh, holy cow.
I don't know. That's, to me, maybe I thought that's why, or maybe that's why they turned the oven or the ovens on. Maybe it was angry and it wanted me to leave because it didn't like the firearms.
Well, it worked.
It did. It did work. It worked pretty freaking well. But the only thing that is inconsistent with it is the fact that we never found anything about that house. That is crazy, or the family. Yeah. It is insane. So,
do you know is the house still there today? Do you know?
It is. The house is still there today. So,
and do you know who moved in after you moved out?
You know, no. I wish I could go and talk to them to see if they have ever experienced anything. So
that would be cool.
Yeah, it would be very, very interesting to see if they have experienced anything. But I feel like I am actually more sensitive to things. My wife thinks I'm crazy. She's like, "Oh, you see more things than anybody I've ever met in my life." She's like, "I've never seen a ghost. I've never done." I was like, "Well, don't wish on it, because
it's not fun."
Yeah.
And if I didn't see the things, I'm sure the same way. If I didn't see, hear, and feel the things that I've been through, then I wouldn't believe in it.
Yeah.
But the fact that I've seen the stuff that I've seen, I'm 100% a believer.
Yeah. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, so
well.
people, they're like, "Oh, I wish." I'm like, you don't.
You really don't, yeah, because you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, because you're confused. And me, growing up Baptist, you don't ever want to get involved with that kind of stuff.
Right.
And that's like that stuff's all bad. You can't. You're not supposed to be watching ghost hunting shows. You're not supposed to be doing this or doing that. And it's just throughout my life, it's just I've seen things that I can't explain.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me, some of these things, and it seems to me that I don't know if whatever it is or whatever it was has followed us, or followed me at least, because as the years have went by, I've still experienced things. And up to me moving into Putnam County and moving into this house in Putnam County, I began experiencing things there too. And it was just odd things. And it got to the point where I reached out to people, and they started saying, "Hey, maybe you want to reach out to a psychic or a medium or somebody like that." And me being raised Baptist, it was just like, I really don't know about reaching out to a psychic or a medium or stuff like that, because that stuff is, considered bad to it's like, oh, don't get involved in that. Like people hear about the tarot cards and all these things, and it's just like, not that I hate on anybody for any of that whatsoever. Right. It's just that the way I was born and raised, it's almost like if you do that stuff, then things will for sure follow you back home, and you are going to get and open a can of worms you won't be able to shut. And so
So I've heard of all that too, but it's so intriguing.
It is, and it's interesting, and that was some of the advice they gave me was, just play some gospel music.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what if you're against that, maybe do a blessing or play gospel music while you're gone, and do things like that to try to cleanse the house, so to say.
Yeah.
And it's just, which has seemed to work up until recently, but
Okay. Is that what we're going to talk about later with the outside situation?
Yes.
So before, I can't wait to talk about that. That one gave me goosebumps when you told me that one. So, yeah. But before that, in the house you're in now, have you had any experiences on the inside other than the outside?
I have.
Okay.
So on the inside, some of the experiences I've had have been like things moving, seeing things out of the corner of my eye, stuff like that. So like I had placed a cup down, and this was another thing I told my wife about. She said she didn't believe me.
Said you're nuts.
Yes. I was drinking a glass of water. I put the cup down, and the cup moved. Literally, it moved 3 inches.
You watched it?
I watched it move. 3 inches by itself to the left. I put it on her counter, which is a flat counter.
Yeah.
And it moved.
What kind of cup was it?
It was a glass cup. It was like a glass.
No kidding.
It wasn't a beer mug, but it was like a glass. I'm trying to think of a good way to describe it. It was like a Bud Light cup, glass Bud Light cup, but it wasn't a mug. So
a heavier glass, thick cup.
Yep.
Like I've got a few I put in the freezer for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. It was like
a thick.
Yep. Exactly. It was
No
a thick
kidding.
cup. Yep. It sure did. It just moved right by itself, and the hairs on the back of my neck started rising up, and I just walked outside at that time, and it was dark. And Madison, my wife, she was asleep at the time. The kids were all in bed.
It's up and left everybody. Yeah. Bye, guys.
Yep. It was like, I'm going outside.
Every man for themselves.
I did, too. I went outside.
That's funny.
I started a fire, and I sat out there. I was like, I'm just going to sit out here for a minute.
Wow.
But that was one of the experiences that I've had there. I've had other experiences where it was actually kind of strange. So it was lights. Mm-hmm. So the second experience I had inside this new house was a light and the smell of smoke again.
Oh, no kidding. Back to the smoke.
Yep, back to the smoke. So there was a light, and it was right in the corner. So I seen it. I was watching TV, and I could see the doorway to the bedroom beyond the TV. And as I was sitting on the recliner watching TV, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a light.
Like an orb?
Yeah, but it was like a bigger orb. So, I mean, it was probably about 6 inches in diameters, but it was a light. And it came down into the corner to where you could only see about half of that orb.
Okay.
And then when I looked up at it, it went back up, and I couldn't see it anymore. So I got up, and I walked into the room because that was my son's room, and he was just born at the time, so it was his nursery. And I smelled smoke. And it was one of those situations where I was like, okay. I was looking around the room. Couldn't find anything, couldn't see anything. It was just weird that the fact as soon as I looked at it, it knew that I was looking at it.
You're like, I've been seeing it, go away.
Yeah, and then go away. And smell smoke.
So you physically, because we've all, I say we all, and I'm sure a lot of other people have seen stuff on the corner of their eye.
Yeah.
And then when they look, it's gone.
Yeah.
So you physically looked at this object and watched it disappear.
I physically, because I seen it out of the corner of my eye.
Yeah. I
looked at it, I saw it, and then it shot up.
Gosh.
So
that's cool.
As soon as I locked onto it, it shot up.
Yeah.
So. And then again, there was the smell of smoke. So, and then a few other times things like that had happened where I had seen lights. There was another time where I had seen a light go back into the nursery like that. So it was.
Oh wow! Same room.
Yep, same room.
Okay.
Corner of my eye. Was sitting in the same spot. And then I see a light shoot across and go into the room. I look, nothing there. And
is this like a blue light? What color is this?
White.
It's a white light. It's a bright white light.
Yep, bright white. I mean, there wasn't any other, which is kind of weird because you go from one experience where you see the black shadow of a man that is like pitch black as black can be, that dissipated as you got closer to it. And then this was a bright white light.
Yeah.
And the first time was the smell of smoke. I didn't have the smell of smoke the second time, but later on, we had picked up my son, taken him out of the room, and because he was getting fussy, he'd always get fussy in that room, and that was what was kind of odd. And later on that week, his outlet actually blew up in the wall and started burning up. So I don't know if maybe part of me thinks, okay, maybe it was trying to prevent something from happening. Maybe it was like, hey, you need to get your son out of this nursery because maybe a fire might happen, or maybe because I know a lot of the times people talk about how these things have energy.
Yeah.
And, that's maybe it sensed something like that. I really don't know. I don't know if it was an orb. I don't know if it was a ghost or what it was, but it was just odd that, when we take him out of the room shortly after that outlet blows up essentially, and where it makes the wall black around it and stuff. So
golly.
And so that was kind of the start of these things. So other things happen, which is probably going to be the more creepier one because it involves the kids.
Yes.
And my wife has no excuse for this to this day too. She's like, yeah, that is kind of creepy, but I've still never seen anything.
Right.
And
does she believe the story?
She thinks I'm insane. She's like, you're just. I don't think she wants to believe.
That's
her thing.
probably
She's
it.
Like, I don't want to believe. And I was like, well, you know what? I don't want to believe either. But if I wouldn't have seen it with my own two eyes, I don't know.
Exactly.
She's never experienced anything like that.
Good
But
for her.
She grew up. Yeah. She grew up, her mom and them, they would used to play with Ouija boards, and she loved the scary movies and all that stuff, but, it was all just games to them growing up.
Yeah.
And I don't know if maybe our upbringing has something to do with that, people like me, I was sheltered, I went to a private Christian school my whole life, minus my last 2 years when I graduated from Cloverdale because I wanted to play sports.
Yeah.
But, all that stuff is just... that's real to us, good and evil, God, the devil,
Absolutely.
Angels, demons, all that is real to us. And to her and her family, that was just entertainment,
Okay.
They didn't believe in God or the devil or angels and demons, ghosts and things like that. It was just something they did to mess around and have fun on a Friday night, and that's all it was to them. So I don't know if maybe that, what we perceive things to be, maybe puts the energy into it that they need, but it's interesting because a lot of times, you hear about, most of the times, kids see things too that most people say they don't see, or they...
Oh, man, I've got some stories about my kids seeing stuff. Oh, my gosh. That's going to be another podcast, but oh, my gosh, there's some terrifying stories.
It's interesting to think that, these things can make themselves known, and that's where it kind of goes into this next part of this experience of the house before I started doing the gospel music and the blessings and stuff like that, because at this point I was starting to think, okay, the smell of smoke's coming back. I'm seeing a light. It wasn't the black figure, but it was a light.
Yep.
Things are starting to happen. That cup moved in front of me, and all this stuff started happening, and I was starting to get into the mindset of, okay, maybe I started reaching out to people and trying to figure out what was going on. So fast forward, my kids' rooms are both upstairs.
Okay.
And you would hear footsteps up there. So we would be downstairs and we would hear footsteps, and my wife would say, it's just an older house, it's creaking. It's, foundation settling, all that stuff.
Your basic answer.
Yep. Just your basic answer, which I think a lot of times is what or people in general do. They try to come up with a logical explanation, which I'm all for. I think if we could come up with some kind of scientific explanation for something where we can figure out what is actually happening, that would be phenomenal. But I don't think that this is something that can be determined through... I mean, I'm not against it. I hope that we can figure something out, but it seems like a lot of times when you look into this kind of stuff, it leaves you with more questions than answers.
Oh, yeah.
So, but back to the story, you would hear footsteps up there in my kids' rooms, and my kids got to the point that they were getting scared. They didn't want to sleep upstairs in their rooms.
Okay, how old are they at this point?
At this point, my daughter was 4 and
Okay.
my son was 5.
Okay.
So 4 or 5, he was probably getting closer to 6 years old, but they were pushing, still young enough, but not old enough to, go and play video games and turn the TV on for
Right.
themselves and stuff like that. But so one night, my daughter came down and said that they had an imaginary friend.
Okay, I'm out.
Exactly. So she was saying that they had an imaginary friend, that this imaginary friend was scaring her. And Owen started saying that too, which is my oldest. He said, I've seen him too, but it stays in her closet.
Oh my gosh.
So that's what they said. I was like, well,
Yeah.
where's your imaginary friend? And she said, he lives in the closet. And it was a he. He lives
Okay.
in the closet, and he comes out at night. And that's why she was afraid to sleep in her room. And Owen said, I've seen him, Daddy. He's their imaginary friend. And so that started freaking me out too, because I was like, at this point, something is starting to interact with my kids, which is what worried me. Because
That's a problem.
Yeah, I don't mind stuff with myself. I mean, it freaks me out, and it's scary, but I feel like we can get through that, but for the most part. But when it starts turning its attention towards the kids who are more vulnerable or sensitive to things like that's when it really started bothering me. The fact that whatever this thing was, and I had seen this light, the outlet had blown up, the things, you were smelling things, I was seeing things, my kids were starting to see things. They were saying, this imaginary friend lives in the closet. He comes out at night. He scares us. We don't want to be upstairs. You hear footsteps up there. And to this day, they don't like being up in their own rooms
No
and fall
kidding.
asleep. Yeah,
That's still their bedroom?
yeah, that's still their bedrooms, and
Okay.
they do not like sleeping up there. They'll go up there and play during the day, but they do not like being in there at night. So I started playing the gospel music. That's when I said, okay, enough's enough. I reached out to someone. I was still hesitant on the psychic or the mediums side of things, so I started playing gospel music. I started doing, we got the blessing on the house done or whatever, and someone mentioned sage or sweetgrass or whatever it was. And smudging, I think, was another thing they said. So
That's for the sage,
yeah,
I believe.
yeah, I think so. I don't know how all that stuff works.
Yeah,
but,
me either.
But yeah, so essentially we did that, and pretty much everything stopped immediately.
No kidding.
I had not seen anything at all inside the house anymore. And I don't get that hair on the back of my neck feeling raising up. Nothing's moved. I've not seen any lights. Nothing strange has happened to that point until just recently, but it wasn't inside the house. It was outside the house. So, yeah.
All right, so we'll set the scene on this one. You were on duty that morning or that night. You worked 3P to 3A, is that correct?
Yep.
So you were coming home from off duty,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you pull in the driveway, and here we go.
Yep. Pull into the driveway and shut my lights off. 3 o'clock, clear day, clear clear night. Not a
Again,
cloud in
that
the
3
sky.
a.m. mark.
3 a.m. mark, and moon's up in the sky, and no wind, nothing. It was just a nice night.
And you live out in the county, so
Yes.
your house is off the road. I don't know, it's a couple hundred yards,
Yeah.
couple hundred yards, and you use a lot of wood surrounding your house. So
Yes.
it's not in town.
No.
You're in the country.
Yeah, I am out in the country. There's no city around me, anything like that.
Yeah.
So I pulled up, and I wish I could remember what kind of calls we took that day, but for the life of me, I can't. You do so many of them, everything just kind of blurs together.
Yep.
But got out of the car, I started taking my gear off because that's my routine. I pull into my driveway, I get my gear off, I put it in my car, I lock everything up. So do that, lock my car, and I begin walking into my house. So when I get to the porch of my house, I hear my son, which was the youngest. He was the newborn at the time all this stuff was going on when we first moved at the house. I heard his voice clear as day, like he was asking a question, go, Dad? And just clear as day, it scared the crap out of me because I thought at some point in the night he had gotten up, unlocked the door or whatever, came out, and was
Oh my
just
gosh.
out in the yard at night. And it scared the crap out
You're
of
like,
me.
what the heck? Why is my kid outside at 3 o'clock in the morning?
I was calling his name. I was looking in the bush
have
by the
goosebumps.
house.
Oh my God.
I was looking in the bush by the house. I walked around the house. I walked out into the woods. I was looking in the woods for him. And my heart started thumping. And I was like, he's got to be somewhere. So I thought he was outside.
It was just one time.
It was just one time.
Okay.
Dad asking me a question. And so I ran inside the house and go past the living room, get into his room, sound asleep.
Oh my gosh.
And it was 100% my son's voice. And it, to me, it was like one of those shocking moments where it jarred me enough that, I mean, I thought it was him.
Yeah.
Like because you know, with everything we see on this job, all the terrible things, your mind starts wandering.
Yep.
You know, is he out? Did somebody try to come into the house and get him out of the house? Is he near the road? Is, you know, what's going on?
Immediately go to the worst.
Yeah. And when I seen him in his bed, my heart just dropped. I was like, oh, thank God. Okay, he's okay. And
then you're like, oh shit.
Exactly.
Like,
and then that's when it
I
hit.
heard it.
Yeah. And that's when it hit, and I was like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
What mimicked my son's voice so perfectly, like he was asking me a question, that it immediately got me into him. And it was weird because it was just like, you know, I'm a level-headed person. You know,
Yeah.
when I was in the military, I was a forward observer in the Army. You know, we had our small teams. You know, we were attached to an infantry line unit. We went out, we did our stuff, did our training, and took care of things. And, you know, even with the police department, you know, you go through the academy, you go through all this training, and you deal with people on a daily basis. So you kind of learn how to be in those situations. And that day, there was nothing that stuck out to me, and the fact that it just instantly freaked me out that much.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I went from just a normal day, feeling cool, calm, collected, to where the heck's my son? What in the world happened?
I just heard my son. I know I
just
heard my son.
Is he okay? Is he?
Gosh.
So, but it was odd because it was outside, and to this day,
Yeah.
we've still not had any experiences inside the house. But the fact that it was outside, it makes me wonder almost if whatever was at that other house, something, I don't know if they're connected. I really don't, because it goes from the apparition, you know, the shadow man apparition, whatever, to this orb and this white light apparition to, I mean, the smell of smoke was common, but it's just, to this day, I don't know if it's connected or if I'm just sensitive to things and I just experience things that other people don't, because I tend to believe in these things. I think that there's things out there that we can't explain, things that are too, there's, like we said earlier, you know, it gives you start looking into it and it leaves you with more answers than questions.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's very interesting, very scary, but to this day, I don't know what any of it means. So,
gosh, do you still get creeped out when you get home and walking up to the porch?
I do, but it's hit or miss. It's just kind of odd because, you know, I'm an avid hunter and fisherman. You know, I'm probably more of a fisherman than I am a hunter.
Oh,
I love my whitetail hunting. I love squirrel hunting. I like doing all that, but I'd rather have a pole in my day or a pole in my hand any day. So I'm no stranger to being outside, especially at night, you know, whether it's catfishing or, you know, trying to catch some of the midnight bass or you know, some walleye or whatever. You know, that stuff doesn't bother me. However, I will say one time walking to a stand, I had a screech owl go off above my head, and I was about 10 years old at the time. I pooped my pants, and I left my dad in the woods. I ran off back into the truck. But yeah, besides that, I'm no stranger to the woods, so that's the I don't feel uneasy out there. Most of the time, I feel at peace. You know, I that's my happy place.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's my heaven. So it was just odd that sometimes you get that hair on the back of your neck feeling, and
Like something's there, something's watching.
yes,
Oof.
and I've been told that you shouldn't have answered it. You shouldn't have been, Jack, where you at? Where you at? You know, you shouldn't have answered it, because then that opens a door. I don't know if any of that's true or not. I haven't
I don't know enough
experienced
about it.
anything after that. That was the first time I've ever experienced anything that mimicked somebody I loved or cared about.
Hopefully it's the last time.
Hopefully it is. So I'm not real sure. I know they talk about mimics. I know they talk about skinwalkers.
Yeah,
and
that's a word I can't say in
Wendigos.
my house. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
But if I say skinwalker in the hospital, I was like, don't say it. Don't say that word. You can't say the SK word.
Yep.
Or the whistle. I'm a whistler.
Yeah. Whistling.
And so, yeah, she will. If I whistle and it's dark,
Yeah. Yep.
outside whistling for the dogs. Nope. You see all and clap your hands. Don't whistle.
Yeah.
So that's how she is.
Yep. That's there's a lot of legends and folklore, and that's what I'd be interested in doing one of these days, is getting into more into the nitty gritty on some of this, and getting some actual like writing some notes down, doing some research, reading some books, and actually breaking in. Maybe I can have you, whenever I start doing my podcast, get into it and
Absolutely.
do something where we dive a little bit deeper into something like
That
that.
would be fun.
'Cause that would be interesting to learn more about that.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
I'd be all down for that.
Yeah.
It'd be a blast. So have you talked to people about that situation? They said it was probably a mimic.
Yes.
So what would the difference, if you even know, I know we tried to talk about it earlier, between the mimic and the skinwalker? And I'm sure people are going to comment on this and tell me all about it, which would be freaking awesome, because I don't know enough about it, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, from just a little bit of cursory research I've done, so mimics they can be a couple of different things.
Okay.
So you've got different things from different regions of the world, and different religions, and different peoples that say things are different things. You know, like, for example, just a little bit of what I've been reading on mimics is that, you know, mimics are an entity that like to imitate or copy someone's behavior, and that sometimes they'll do it for their own amusement, or to
Okay.
ridicule that person, or to cause them some kind of distress. I know some people think that mimics are some kind of, you know, in other cultures it's like a demonic entity or something like that gets pleasure from that stuff. I know as far as the Native American folklore, from a little bit of the stuff I've read, is that you look into things, you know, like in Native American folklore, the mimics, you know, that's like your Wendigos. You know, those are they'll mimic people, they'll mimic things to try to get you in closer, or to, and you know, without going into, I mean, I feel like that'd be a whole episode in itself, just talking about
absolutely. Wendigos
and stuff like that, and the skinwalkers and things like that. You know, I think like the skinwalkers are more or less your entities that, you know, Native American folklore. I have to do more research on it, but I believe that there's some kind of shaman that, you know, became whatever this thing is, and I'd be interested in learning more and more about them. But,
Me too.
As far as the mimics go, I think that what these people had told me is it's just something that does things for your amusement, or for their amusement, or to try to make you feel like you're going insane or something. You know, it just depends on what region and what area of the world you're from. So,
I'm curious, because of the era we're in, what we may or may not have.
I would wonder if it'd be more or less something Native American, you know.
I wouldn't doubt it from this area.
I want to do a little bit of let's do a little Google search.
Yeah, go for it.
On mimics here.
While you do that, there's and I may not know enough about this call. You may know a lot more on it. So correct me if I'm wrong. But there's a call that you got while on duty for a hotel room in where you work. I almost said the name.
Yeah.
Where you work.
Yeah.
And it's at a hotel. And what they said was people heard someone talking in that room. There was no one supposed to be in that room.
Mm-hmm.
So when they went to go open the door wouldn't open. That's the story I got.
Yeah.
So you waited on me to get there. And so I arrived. So we go to the door, and the door would open, but it would only open because of that little, I don't know what you would call that, the stopper?
It's a hotel stopper
The hotel,
latch.
yeah. To where the door would open, but it would only open, what, 2.5, 3 inches?
Yeah, yeah.
So the only way for that to be closed is if someone on the inside flips out onto the door.
Exactly. Yes.
So when I arrived and we did that, boom, the door opened 2, 3 inches, whatever. And I'm like, oh, shoot, someone's in this room. They're not supposed to be in here. So I tried to get on my body camera and pull that video up to show you actually cut it, but I can't find it. I'm gonna try to find it and put it in this video, but I can't make any promises.
Yeah.
Because I have video of my body camera of you putting bolt cutters through that door and cutting that to go in.
Yeah.
So we go search that room. Empty. There is nobody in that room.
He swore he heard people talking. He swore there was somebody in there. And it was
empty freaking room.
And that hotel has had several deaths there, several suicides, several.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
yep.
I almost wonder if that was one of the rooms where something like that.
I didn't want to be in there. After we searched the room, we literally took picked up the mattresses. There was no one in the room, and we were third floor.
Yeah,
it was the third floor,
very top floor.
So that to me is super creepy. That the only way for that door to be locked was someone on the inside had to flip that lever over.
Yeah, there is no possible way for somebody to. I mean, even if you slam that door shut,
that's not closing.
I mean, it's not going to close that latch all the way around it because that whatever that thing is on that door, it's like a ball.
Yep,
it's like a ball hitch. So I mean, you've got to actually physically put that latch around that ball hitch and locks it in. So
because I don't think because we even went outside after that call and we talked for a while. I don't think we talked about that situation, but I thought about it and thought about it and thought about like something in that room shut that latch.
Yeah, it was something in there shut that latch, and that individual said that there was somebody in the room. He heard somebody in the room. He thought that someone was, and I believe he was some kind of. They were from out of state.
Okay.
Some hot shot had something to do. They were there for cars or something. I think in Indianapolis, but yeah. So that was. Have you experienced anything on the job that?
I have not,
else,
and I've cleared some homes by myself. There's an old church I cleared by myself, and it was super creepy. Like all the hair standing on the back of my neck. But I honestly think I did that to myself.
Yeah,
homes creep me out so bad. Old homes, any home by myself, I get the heebie-jeebies in, and I don't know why. Like cemeteries. Yeah, I go to Boone Heights Cemetery almost every night on duty, and I just sit there. I go up there, roll my windows down. The other night I walked around. Daniel Boone's sister's buried there. I went and saw their grave.
That is interesting.
It says that here a lot. I can't remember her name.
There's a lot of history out here in
oh
Indiana.
My gosh, yes. Yeah. Apparently there's that old shack there at the Boone Heights Cemetery that's really haunted. I do get creeped out. Again, it's a building.
Yeah.
I don't know why I get creeped out when I go by there, but one of my best friend's dads is buried in there, so I've gone to there and said hi to him. Walk through the graves that are there from like the early 1800s because I doubt they get visitors. And I've talked to them, but I've gotten like super happy. It's like a warm, just super comfortable. I'm happy when I'm there. So,
do you think that people, when they die, can hear us, like their spirits? What do you think about that? What's your take on that? Or to you, in your belief, in your experience, in your life experiences, do you think that when you are gone, you are gone? Do you think that you are in one place or the other? What's your opinion on that?
See, I'm going to do a podcast on this, but without saying too much what I think, I'm religious as well. So I believe there's a heaven, there's a hell. When you die, you're going to one of them.
Yep.
So, and I've also thought, if I haven't seen or heard the things I've seen, I wouldn't believe in it. Yeah. So I think, when you're dead, you're gone. You're in heaven.
Yeah.
And this world's done.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. This world's done. You're living the dream.
Yeah.
But at the same time, why are things here? I believe in residual
Yes.
because I've seen residual things I've seen the same old man 3 times in my dad's house, and every time it's the exact same thing, the exact same path.
Almost like it was he did the same thing in life over
Yep.
and over and over and over
It's
again.
like a
and that
timestamp.
energy, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my wife has seen, I think she's seen him twice, and it's the same thing. She's like, I just saw the old man, blah, blah, blah. Same thing. Standing at the foot of my bed, and then how he goes on. It's the same thing every time. So residual.
Yes.
But I've also had intelligent
Mm-hmm.
to where I've had a door slammed in my face. I've had things react to movements. Like I'll tell one that I was going to tell later, but I woke up in my mom's friend's house. We lived in the basement. It was a finished basement, but in front of our door, there was like this, what do they call that, old Mexican or Indian blanket.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we didn't have a door. We had one of those Mexican blankets hanging on our door, like a curtain, basically. So it covered the entire door. Our room is black. Outside the hallway, where past our door, the light was on because I was afraid of the dark. We're in the basement. And I was probably 5th grade, so what was I, 10 years old, 9, 10 years old, something like that. I didn't like the dark. So I'm laying in bed. I was on the bottom bunk. My cousin's on the top bunk. And it's a stairway that goes down to the basement, and right when you get into the stairway, it's my bedroom door right in the hallway immediately. So her mom was upstairs. She said, you guys better be laying in bed and asleep by the time I get back down here. She's going to come check on us like 20, 30 minutes, something like that. So she's upstairs. All of a sudden, I glance over to the door, and I see her walk, my cousin's mom, walk down the edge of the stairs and just stand in front of the door and just stand there. And I'm looking, and I'm like, what is she? Because I'm trying to remember how this happened here. There were footsteps. We heard her coming down, lightly down the stairs. So we thought she was sneaking up on us. So my cousin flipped over and faced the wall. I didn't know this until later, but she flipped over and faced the wall. And I laid on my back, and I'm watching the door. So she comes in front of the doorway and just stands there. So I see her head, shoulders, arms. But as I'm looking,
Could you tell any features, or was it just black?
it was a shadow.
A shadow.
Because she was standing on the other side of the blanket, and the light was behind her, so it illuminated behind her. So I just saw a body,
So
a solid shape of a human being standing on the other side of the blanket. But what I noticed when I'm looking at that, there were, like, from the knees down, was not there.
Really?
So I'm looking at this, and I saw her, and then it happened so fast. So I'm looking at the shape, or the human, and as soon as I noticed, I'm getting goosebumps. As soon as I noticed, from the knees down, they're not there. I'm like, trying to process this. I hear footsteps coming down the stairs. Human, loud, just dun, 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 coming down the stairs.
Really?
This figure turned, looked up the stairs, and I see, oh my gosh, I see like the side profile, perfect. I see the nose, the mouth, the chin. And again, it happened so fast. It looked up the stairs, turned, and took off, running away.
Yeah.
And I saw the long hair like flow from this figure as it took off from oh, dude,
now.
it took off down to the hallway, which into the hallway is nothing. And so
Wow.
I'm sitting there like, what in the heck did I just see? And then my cousin's mom goes in front of the door, moves the blanket and comes in the room. I'm like, oh my God.
That seems intelligent.
So exactly. So I didn't freak out. I said, who's here? She's like, why? And she was pissed that we're still awake. And she's like, no one's here. Why are you still awake? I'm like, bruh. I can't remember exactly what transpired, but I'm asking again. I'm like, is anybody else here? She's like, no, it's just me. I'm like, oh my gosh. The next day, I couldn't, because then she yelled at us for being awake, and she went back upstairs. So I told my cousin, I'm like, did you just see that? She's like, see what? And then I realized she faced the wall. And I explained it to her. The next day, we told her mom about it. Apparently, her mom's Native American, and she would go to the sun dances and all the things they did with the Native American aspect, with all their stuff they did. But apparently, she brought something home with her. And
Wow.
she brought a Native American individual home. So I think that's what I saw, because I remember the shape of the face, just a very masculine face, the outline, the jawline. I remember seeing all that like plain as day.
No facial hair.
I couldn't tell through the blanket, but then the long hair when it ran away. So that to me was a male Native American figure.
Wow.
So that one was the second time I've seen a spirit in that house. The first one,
Is that the house? And whose house was that again?
it was essentially my aunt's. It's
Your
my
aunt's,
mom's
okay.
best friend that we've known all their life. So it's my aunt and my cousin, essentially.
Okay.
So this is in Kokomo, Indiana.
Okay.
So I lived in Kokomo.
Oh, I remember that. I look forward to hearing you tell that story of Kokomo,
Which one?
the orb.
Oh, that's gonna be
Yeah.
that's gonna be a podcast, and that video is gonna be attached to the podcast.
Yeah.
That orb was incredible. That was my dad's house,
Yeah.
and that one also. My kids saw some stuff and mentioned some things, and we're like, okay. So, but in that same house, the first time I ever had a ghost experience at all, I woke up, bottom bunk, same thing, but we didn't have the curtain or the blanket in front of the door at that time. So it was just right when you walk out the door was the washer and dryer. Immediately, boom. So if you keep going straight, don't turn right towards my mom's room, which is at the end of that hallway, then you could have run to the washer and dryer. So I woke up and it was, I want to say like 6 a.m. mark. It was just when the sun's barely coming up because we had a little like a basement room, which is at the 24 by, 10-inch window in a basement. That was our basement, our window.
Yeah.
So light was barely coming through there. I remember I woke up and I went to go to my mom's room like I did every morning. And I looked at the doorway and I saw a light, like not a mist, not a white, but like not dark gray, but a light gray human figure, head, shoulders, arms, legs, standing in the doorway. And I looked at it, and then my first thought was, like, the whole hallway was dark. My first thought was like somebody like was standing in the doorway, just walking by when I got like my mom or my aunt, somebody. And then I realized I could see the washer and dryer through the object. And that's what I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
And then I don't know why I took off running towards it, turned the light on in my bedroom as I'm running out of the room, flipped the light on, and took off and left my brother in there by himself.
Really?
And went to my mom's room, jumped in the bed. And she's like, what's going on? I explained it to her. She's like, oh, no, you're just tired waking up. And then I saw the apparition. I don't know, it was a few months later, the apparition, actually, the hair and everything, I saw that. And then we were told there's a Native American in the house. But we've had cabinets open up by themselves, the footsteps, and there's no one there.
It's crazy to think that, our body's response as time has progressed, through the eons, or, no matter what you believe, whether you believe that, the earth is 7,000 years old, whether you believe it's millions of years old, whether you're Christian, atheist, Wiccan, whatever you may be, our bodies react to things.
Yeah.
And that has happened through time, through evolution. I'm interested in everybody's beliefs myself. I'm Christian, but
Same here.
I'm interested in other people's beliefs. And the fact that over time, I believe in like creationism, right? I believe that my personal belief is that, over time we can evolve to adapt to things and to our environment and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I believe in evolution to that standpoint. But personally, like when you sit here and you think about it, the fact that over time that's our body's natural response. So something from our evolutionary past has told our genes and our makeup, hey, you need to be on alert. Your hairs are raising up. Hey, that's not good.
Exactly.
You need to get away from that, whatever that is.
And we can't control that.
Exactly. Like the fact that it is in our genetics that we feel that, we see that, and our body's like, nope, get away. Get away. Like that to me is interesting.
It is super interesting, and I've honestly never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It is interesting to think about it like that. And that's where, like, I look back into it and, coming from a very religious background and a very straight-laced mom and her family, and for people who were very religious, they believed in that stuff. Like, they believed, like, maybe not so much ghosts. They believed, like, okay, like something residual. But as far as the other things, the intelligent things, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe these intelligent things like to portray themselves as loved ones or, loved ones or people from the past or things that intrigue us so that they can get in and get closer. Because,
and it's demonic.
And it is.
Yep.
Some of it, maybe some of it's not. I mean, maybe there is things besides angels and demons. You know, maybe there's principalities, powers, things that we don't know about. That maybe something more than just an angel, or maybe more than just a demon, or maybe it's hard because when I sit here and I'm looking at some of this stuff, you know, as far as like the mimics goes, it talks about them being, you know, demons that will copy the voices of loved ones or even say a victim's name to trick them, you know. So that's one definition of a mimic. And then you've got the other definition, which is more, so that's like the more religious definition of something. But then you got like the Native American, which is like your Wendigo. And it talks about it being a monstrous being that is described as a spirit or an evil being known for its ability to mimic human voices and screams to lure prey. It's also said to mimic loved ones and to trick victims into approaching. And then there's all these. Terrifying. It is. And there's all these other, I mean, just a quick Google search. You've got mimic demons. You've got Wendigos. You've got, I'm not even going to pretend how to say this, Crocata from Ethiopia.
Okay.
And it's described as a powerful animal that imitates human voices at night, calling out names to lure unsuspecting individuals. There's all these things across different. So that's it's interesting to me because it's not just one religion, you know. Okay, so it's the same situation. It's something that's mimicking. It's something that's not good. It's something that's trying to get you off your guard. It's something that's trying to lure you out, and it's across the world. I mean, Ethiopia, America, you know, Native America, all these other countries that exist. And so I don't know if it's naive for me to say, okay, well, this is definitely a demon, because these people who don't believe the same religion as us or who believe the same way that we do are experiencing things similar to this, but yet our bodies are sitting here and we're just, everybody's body is like going back to the genetics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever that is not good.
Yep.
So I believe
but
that
all the
whatever
same
it is.
Oh, right, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, you're fine. I just believe whatever it is intelligent, and I think there's good things out there, and I think that there's bad things out there. I don't
think I answered your question with that. I've thought recently was, like I said, you go to heaven or hell.
Yep.
That's what happens. So when you go to heaven, you're done here. So the things that we're like, where you think that you hear your grandma's voice that passed away, or if someone's running an EVP and I think they hear a loved one's voice, like that is the mimic.
Yeah.
Demonic entity mimicking those loved ones to make you feel more comfortable around them, make you open up around them, more vulnerable, so they can attach to you and feed off of you in a negative way. So when you hear your grandma's voice that you love so much, you're like, oh my gosh, it's grandma. You start talking to it more. You start welcoming. Hey, you're good. You're fine to stay here. Mm-hmm. I feel comfortable around you. You can stay here.
Yeah.
You can be, and then boom.
Yeah.
Hook, line, sinker. You're hit.
Opens a whole plethora of things that just. It's the fact that they know to take advantage of that. You know.
Oh yeah.
Or
evil.
even
Pure evil.
Yeah. And to me, like going back to my story there at the house, that's almost like what it was. Like, it was pissed off. Like, oh, I'm out of the house now.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to be outside the house, and I'm going to do something. I'm going to mimic your boy, you know?
Yep. You got me out. I'm out here.
Yep. Yeah.
Good luck getting me away from here.
Exactly. That's what it felt like. Like, it was something almost like it's trying to antagonize things.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's where, you know, I believe my faith comes into play, because, you know, you look at all these, you know, like, people, especially like within the Catholic Church, you know, and all these people who investigate stuff like that, you know, it's very interesting to me. Like, I'm almost mind boggled right now just trying to think about it all. But
there's so much there.
It is very interesting, you know, all the stuff in the world, you know. Then don't even get me started on Bigfoot, because then, you know, we'll get into another.
That's funny.
Freaking, yeah. But yeah, it is definitely very interesting thinking about all that. I wish, and like we said earlier, you know, more questions than answers. But at the same time, if you answer those questions, what's going to come knocking?
Exactly.
You
It's
know?
kind of best to not know.
Yeah.
But okay, heard something. I'm moving on.
But at the same time, that almost undesirable urge to want to know.
The human,
Just looking it up. Yeah.
the curiosity wants to know.
Yeah.
Yep.
You want to know what it is. You want to know what's going on. And sometimes we may find out, we may not. I don't.
Yeah.
I think maybe a lot of it kind of depends on what you believe too.
Big time.
I mean,
I agree. And what you allow yourself to see, where you allow yourself to hear.
Yes. What you allow in, I think a lot of that and who you are, and especially, I mean, you can attest to this. You see some of these people out here answering these calls that they are just evil. I mean, there is something attached to them, something evil about them.
Yeah.
And it's mind-boggling to me that. And then sometimes that stuff just starts making sense,
Yeah.
A lot of times I think, too, that people chalk things up to just thinking that, it must be something evil. But at the same time, I think that people as a human race do a pretty good job at being evil themselves.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
There is a lot of that other stuff where things are just, you can tell something's off, like something's there. These people are possessed or something, like just to be able to do the things they do. But yeah,
it's interesting.
It is for sure.
It's almost you want to know about every little detail with how it works and what happens, but at the same time, like, I really don't know if I want to know.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a mystery that you want to know, but you don't. And, just like we've talked to people before, you don't know what's coming back. And like the EVP thing, I wanted to do an EVP in our home, but I was told never do that, and because then that's you inviting it, encouraging it, interacting with it, opening that door for them to inch in a little bit closer.
Yep.
So
that again goes back to the welcoming the entity, the spirit.
Yeah.
And communicating with it.
Makes you
and
wonder.
then they're attached.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if there's bad spirits, are there good spirits? Maybe there's angels.
Yep, I was just say angels. Yeah.
I mean, I believe there's angels out there.
Oh, absolutely.
But if there's good, there's got to be bad.
Yeah. And see, that's my big thing. Like I said, there's good, there's going to be bad, and it says that God will not force you to follow Him, to love Him, to worship, to be want the Lord.
Yep.
But the devil will.
Yeah.
Like he will show himself, and he will try to manipulate you to follow him.
Yeah.
So, and with my later podcast, my demonic entity that I dealt with, that was a huge eye opener for me. Like I saw the demonic side of things.
Yeah.
So I know for a fact that's real.
Yeah.
So I know for a fact that God's real.
Mm-hmm. I do.
So
yep. I'm right there with you. I believe in God 100%. I believe that there is good and evil. And I think that maybe even sometimes that, even with all these common occurrences across the world, all these things that are going on, I think a lot of this stuff is just playing out exactly how it needs to play out, But it is interesting, now that I heard you word it like that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the devil will show himself.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I'm curious, too, because the good and the bad, that's why I'm curious about, like, okay, I don't want to mess with things. I'd be interested in the residual hauntings. I'd be interested in things like that, cryptids, Native American folklore, things like that, things that are mysteries that may or may not be true. But what I think is that most of these things that happen have got a seed of truth.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to start from somewhere.
Yeah, it started from something from somewhere. And I am curious if there are things, and to the listeners too, there might be some confrontation on this because everybody might not believe the same way we believe,
Right.
But that being said, there's got to be, trying to figure out how to word this
Oh,
here.
you're good. Yeah.
But yeah, they're if there's a reason things are happening, like I want to look and do some research in the Bible as far as if there are other entities, if there's things besides just angels and demons, because I know it talks about in that scripture where it talks about the principalities and powers. Well, what are principalities and what are powers?
Yeah.
They talk about angels, they talk about demons, they talk about the principalities and powers. Because isn't the Bible verse, our fight is not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers,
Yeah.
forces of darkness. I believe I'm paraphrasing it, but it's something along those lines.
Okay.
But to me, it's interesting because what are those principalities and powers? Are those angels and demons, good and evil? I mean, are those aliens? Is there, what are those? It talks about jinns and stuff out in, the Middle East, which I'd have to do more research on that to even figure out what those exactly are. But you hear about all these entities, about all these things, about all these. Some things are cryptid, some things are paranormal, supernatural, but like, what is there more than just angels and demons? Is it bad to look into that? Like I was talking about, like the Ryan Research Facility, or whatever, that research facility that started researching psychics and mediums and started doing tests on them and actual scientific, and it was kind of crazy because a lot of people, from my understanding of it in the scientific community with that place, was looking at them like they were insane. Like, oh, how dare you research this? This is preposterous. This is stupid. But at the same time, why not?
Yeah.
Why not try to take a scientific approach to something? And
if you can explain it.
Yeah. If you can explain it, why not? Why not try to do it? And what they found was that there was people who were psychic that were consistently, with no reason or explanation, but they were consistently more accurate in some of these tests. I'm not going to get into all of them just because, like I said, that's just from podcasts I've listened to, that and some basic research I've done. They were very, very consistent, and more so than the average Joe. They would take somebody just from a random person and have hardly any good results, but then they'd take someone who was psychic, and it was just like, how are you doing this?
Right.
There's got to be some kind of reason why.
It's something that I can't explain.
Yeah.
I hope someone listening can explain.
Yeah.
Because I would love to know.
Yeah, I would too. That'd be interesting to hear their input on things.
Absolutely.
From an outside standpoint, trying to maybe get some research on this, and that would be interesting. I'd be interested to hear that.
Answer questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, hopefully someone comments and we can learn some more about everything we've talked about. Because there's a lot of interesting, very eerie, cool things.
Yeah, we were all over the place.
Yeah,
on this one.
Still, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. So, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate
if anything else happens in the near future, we will be doing another one.
Absolutely.
I hope nothing happens at your house in the near future.
I hope not.
Inside or out.
I hope not either. Burn the place down.
I want to be done with it. I've dealt with paranormal situations from the time I was probably, the first one, 5th grade. So it was at 9, 10, like I said, 9, 10 years old or so.
There's one more story I wanted to tell you.
Actually, absolutely, yeah.
So now that you were saying that, when you said 9, 10 years old, I was remembering when I was younger, and it actually reminded me. I was first reminded of it when you were talking about the Native American story with the long hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that story, when you said that, it reminded me that the Bean Festival, the Cataract Bean Dinner they do every year. So when I was a kid, my mom would take us down there every year.
Okay.
Every year we'd go down there. And when we were younger, and I've not seen this man in years and years and years and years, but he was a Indian man.
Okay.
And he sold Indian trinkets, arrowheads, the choker necklaces.
Yep.
And he was always way back in the corner, down in the back corner by the Cataract General Store. He didn't have a big fancy trailer. It was just a table, and he would sit there and sell his Indian things. And um, he said he was a shaman. So some
Okay.
kind of Native American shaman or Native American medicine man or something. And I can't even, to this day, I can't remember what, what tribe he was from, or, if he was Cherokee, Choctaw, Apache, any of that. I can't remember any of that. But I do remember him talking to my mom, and it freaked my mom out because at the time she was like, that's got to be evil. This is weird, because she was sitting there talking to him, and when we showed up, and he gave me and my sister an arrowhead. He's like,
Okay.
here, he just gave us an old arrowhead. I'm pretty sure he made them himself, but
Right. Still cool.
Yeah, it is. It was really neat. But and he gave my mom some sweetgrass and handed it to her and told her she needed to pray to, I think what he called it, I could be wrong, but something about a creator, a great creator. I'm not real sure.
I think they called him
Grandfather, something.
I could be wrong on that, but
I could be too, but I remember it was something. I don't know if it was creator or what,
Okay.
but he handed her that sweetgrass and told her that she needed to, pray or whatever, and then he went into how to pray, and he was like, you want to pray in each direction or whatever, northeast, southwest, and all this stuff, and he could have been a Native American, he could have been what he said he was saying, or he could have been, a liar. I have no clue.
Yeah. Now, is this random? Is it, hey, here's a sweetgrass, you need to pray?
Yes.
Okay.
So this was random. We just walked up and we were looking at booths and whatnot, and he started talking to my mom and telling her all this stuff about her, some, history, I guess, on my mom. We were born and raised out here again in Owen County, but she always wanted to go back down to Florida, and that's where she lives now.
Okay.
And they live out there in Florida, and they've been there for years now. But she always hated living in Indiana. She wanted to be in Florida. She wanted to be by the beach. That's where her heart was.
Yeah.
That's where my dad wanted to be. They loved the fishing. They loved the sand. They loved all that. And that's where she always wanted to be. So he talked to her, and when he was talking to her, he was telling her about, and he had never met my mom before. He said, I can tell you don't want to be here. Your heart is with the sea. You want to be in the ocean. And my mom's
oh
yeah,
my gosh.
She was sitting there and she was like, do I know you? And he was like, no,
Oh
no, you don't know.
gosh.
And he just started telling her all this stuff about her. And she got freaked out to the point where she told us, because we would walk around by ourselves at that point too. But she was like, do not go back and talk to that man. Do not go back and talk to him.
Okay.
She was that scared because of how much stuff he was telling her about her, and she didn't even know the guy. How
that's crazy.
How her heart wasn't here, how she wanted to be by the sea, by the ocean, and some troubles and stuff my dad was having, and it was just interesting.
He was accurate.
He was accurate with it. He was accurate, and that's where they ended up moving to, was Florida. My dad passed away there in Florida too, and it was uncanny to me that just how accurate he was with it, and how he was telling her, you need to pray, you need to burn. So, that's what I mean. Throughout my entire life, I've had these experiences or seen things, and it's just that Native American story you told reminded me of that. And it was just like, oh man, I completely forgot about that until you said something. I'm glad you said that, because I completely forgot about that until you said that. But yeah, this old medicine man told my mom everything about her and how she was unhappy, how she needed to pray to the Creator, how one day she'd eventually be where her heart wants to be, and they ended up moving down to Florida, and they're happy down there now. And then we never seen him again after that.
No kidding.
He was there. I remember seeing him prior to that for a few years.
Yeah.
Because we'd go every year, and in the few years prior to that, we would see him. And then that year, and then after that year, he was talking to my mom. We never seen him again. Not once.
No kidding.
Never showed up.
Holy cow.
It's like the dude was a freaking ghost after that.
Oh
So
my gosh.
it was insane.
Just until you talked to him. Once he said what he needed to say, I'm gone.
Yep.
Took care of what he needed.
Yep. It freaked her out, but she ended up going where she wanted to go. So,
Wow.
yeah.
But he was right.
He was. He was. And that's what was, I think that's what scared my mom the most about it. So,
How long ago was that? You were young. You said the
yeah,
19-year-old range.
yeah, well, how old was I at that time? How old did I say I was?
I said 9 or 10 through my stuff and said it reminded you. And a Native
Yeah,
American.
yeah, I was probably, because at that point, I was old enough where when we first seen him, like this was over, like he was there for probably about 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
And when I was younger, like when he first started, I remember my mom wouldn't ever let us walk around by herself. But the
Yeah.
last year he was there, I was getting to that age where I could start walking around. I think I was probably more around 11 or 12.
Okay.
She was still there. She'd be like,
Right.
hey, you and your friend can go walk in this area over here and
Yeah.
look at some stuff, but I'm going to be right here. Come get me if you need anything.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I was probably around 11 or 12 maybe, I'm thinking. So
Wow.
it was,
That's interesting.
yeah, it was very interesting. So I think that Native American stuff, there's stuff there, it's,
Oh, there's so much more in tune.
yeah, it's pretty
Which
neat.
is super cool.
Yep.
Well, I'm glad you remember that one because
Yeah.
that's a neat story.
Yeah, I am too. I think I'm trying to think of any more that I have just off that, something that's just crazy that's happened, or which I'm sure as soon as I get driving down the road tonight.
Oh, yeah, you
freaking-
remember.
in the dark, freaking out.
Walking up to the house.
Yep. I'll remember more and more, but yeah, I would eventually when I get started on my podcast, I'll have to have you on, and because I that's what I want to do primarily is just paranormal history,
Yeah, absolutely.
cryptids, stuff like that. So, but I want to get in depth on it. Like, I mean, my problem is it takes me 10 years to read a book, but I want to read a book about something. I want to do my research on it, and I want to be consistent with the podcast whenever
absolutely.
I get there. But it's pretty interesting getting to see how all this works. So,
It's a lot. And there's people that do a lot more than this.
yeah.
So this is just very, very basic.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
It is.
I
It
enjoy
is
it.
a lot of fun. A lot of fun just to sit and talk and have a beer and hang out.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. Yeah, but if you think anything else, let me know.
Yeah,
Because
I
I'm
sure
down to
will.
another one.
I sure
That
will.
was super interesting.
Yeah.
All that. I know you told me bits and parts of the stories before. I
Yeah.
cannot wait to hear them again.
Yeah.
I love them.
I can't wait to hear yours, man.
Yeah.
Especially the orb one. That one.
That'll be a.
When I seen that video, that was, and I don't want to any spoilers.
no, you're good.
Or anything,
Yeah,
but
you're
when
good.
you told me that story and watching that video, after you told me the story, after I watched the video, heard the audio, and then seen it.
Yep.
It just instantly. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps thinking like just that. I can't wait.
And
for
it's
you to tell that one.
incredible. And without going into too much detail, when my wife is actually the one that recorded it, I don't know if I told you this or not, I can't remember. She said she could see it on her phone through the camera. Then when she looked up, because she thought it was a bug at first, and when she looked up over her phone, it wasn't there.
Yeah.
And she looked back on her phone, and she could still see it.
Yeah.
So the phone was picking up the orb, but she could not see it with the naked eye.
That's
My son, I mean, you saw the video. My son saw it.
yeah. He's seen it, and that's another thing. Why is it that kids can see things,
I
but
don't
we
know.
can't? And there's even things, going back on like the military and stuff. There's stories which I'd like to do an episode on that whenever I get started, as
Mm-hmm.
far as like the, these old Vietnam vets and
Oh,
all these
the
old
things they've-
the things they
yes.
seen, and like there's stories about veterans that when they were out on the battlefield, like they look through these, night vision, NVGs, which is a fancy name for, night vision goggles or
Yep.
whatever. But they would look through these things out wherever they were at, whether it was the jungle or the desert, and they would see something in the NVG and think that it was like an enemy combatant. And when they would actually go up on them and look without the NVGs, there was nothing there.
Nothing.
Things would be
Oof.
moving, digging holes, flying off into the air, doing all this weird stuff, and it was only seen with those devices. Like they could
Yeah.
not see them with their naked eyes. So,
That's interesting.
and that reminds me of like my kids, and
Yeah.
I never seen anything in the closet. I get a creepy feeling, and there's a little door back in her closet that goes up to the attic.
Oh, that's.
But
yep.
but they see something that we don't see.
Yeah. Did they ever say what they saw other than a guy? Was it a kid, a guy?
She called it a he. Like that's all she ever said. She said it was a guy.
Oof.
So, and I can't remember the name of it, but she had a name for him, and I kind of want to ask her, but then again, I don't want to bring it back up again.
I wouldn't.
But like, I remember she and Owen both had a name for it. It had a name. It told him a name, and it was a guy. So it wasn't like my imaginary friend, talking teddy bear or whatever.
Yeah.
It was
An
a
individual.
person. Yes. So
But they didn't say it was a kid or an adult or
it was a guy. It was a
just
guy that lived in the closet.
That
Came
would
out
be-
at night. Yeah.
I'm about to have to make you burn the house down.
Yeah. And it's like, well, what? But that's the hard thing, especially as a parent. You
Mhm.
don't want to like, well, what did he do to make you scared? What did he?
That's my thoughts.
Yeah, but like, maybe I should have asked that question, but it's one of those things where it's like, you almost don't want to play into it or feed into it to give it any more energy or
Mhm.
to make them more scared, because you start asking, what is it? What's he look like? What's his name? And all this other stuff.
And now you fed into it.
And now you fed into
Yep.
it. So it's like, what do you do? And do you continue on, or do you just be there for him? Hey, buddy, you don't have to sleep in your room. You can sleep with mommy and daddy tonight.
Yeah.
And just do the blessings, play the gospel music, do the smudging, and just hope whatever it is goes away.
Yep.
And I think that, to me, the more I think about it now, like maybe whatever their imaginary friend was pissed off that he was out of the house now, and that's why, well, screw you, I'm going to mimic your youngest now.
Yep.
Make
you come to me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there we go again.
Yeah. So
But that thing leaves the hole in the closet. Like it leaves where does it go?
exactly.
Like what does it do at night? It leaves
why
at
is it
night,
at
to
night?
do
And
what?
My mom, she would not go upstairs because she stayed with me when I had my surgery.
Mhm.
And I forget what I think my wife at the time was in Florida with her mom. They were on vacation. I had surgery. So my mom came down from Florida to help me during my surgery, after my surgery.
Okay.
And she started telling me, and she was actually, and I had never told my mom about this at all. I didn't tell her
no
about
kidding.
the imaginary friend.
Okay.
And she came home one night. She's like, or not home, but I was there one night, and she came to me and she was like, I'd woken up because I was resting, trying to get over the, appendectomy and all that crap.
Mhm.
And she's like, have the kids told you anything about an imaginary friend?
What?
Yes. I was like, what'd they tell you? They said, there's somebody that lives in their closet. And when you're asleep at night, she's like, and I'm sitting in here with the kids sleeping on the couch. She's like, there's footsteps. And she swore up and
my
down that she
gosh.
heard those footsteps too. She swore up and down that she heard their door shut. So
Their bedroom door?
Yeah, she heard their bedroom door shut, but I had never heard that. She swore up and down that she heard their bedroom door shut.
No kidding.
She heard footsteps, and she refused to go upstairs. Even to this day, if she comes to our house, she will not go upstairs.
Really?
Yep. That freaked her out. She got freaked out by the shaman too. So, or the medicine man,
but
whatever.
Still, that's creepy.
Yeah. The fact that they were telling her too. But again, on the opposite side of that, my mom believes that. She's very religious. And then my wife, she's religious now. She believes in that, but like she believes in God and heaven and hell and stuff like that now. But like to her, she's just like, nope, not believing it. I think it's more a denial
She
thing
doesn't want to believe it.
sometimes. Yeah.
I don't blame her.
Yeah. And not for 1 minute. I'm right there with her as far as not wanting to believe it, but it's almost hard for me to just ignore. We're different people in that aspect, where she's okay with just it's not happening. To me, it seems like whatever it is gets pissed off when I ignore it.
Yeah.
And
does more to get your attention.
Yep. And but back to what you were saying, this is my space. You know, when you've talked to me about that on the job, or whatever, or Boone Hutch Cemetery, nobody's welcome to come home with me. You know, maybe I need to take that more of an approach, because that's what it boils down to, and it's crazy how you get those hairs that raise up on your arms, but you still have that authority to be like, you're not welcome. But at what point does something become so attached that even if you don't want it there,
there's nothing to do about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
unless you get
nothing
some
that I
help.
know of.
Yeah, unless you get some more help or whatever.
Yep.
And I'm fortunate, and I'm very much into my religion. So, I played that gospel music. I put my faith in God, and that's enough because I think, where it talks about that in the Bible, every knee will bow and every tongue shall confess that Jesus Christ is Lord.
Absolutely.
And,
I get goosebumps just from that. I love that.
Yep.
I love that.
Yep. And at the end of the day, he's God, he's the king, and what he says goes.
Yeah. Yep.
There's nothing they can do about it. You think about even when, all the demonic possessions and stuff, and, when it talks about, the gospel and the life of Jesus and all these things where, what was it exactly when he commands the demons into the herd of swine and he comes onto the shore or something, and there's the man that's possessed by the devils, and they say, why are you here to torment us? Our time's not come yet or something. I'm paraphrasing, but literally they know. They know that he is the ultimate power in that. So, there is that stuff, what he says goes. So there's, and that's where I get into it. I may not be that big. I can't do anything. I'm scared, but you know what? God's not.
Yeah,
he's got it.
Absolutely. He's not afraid.
He's not afraid. He's got it. And I may be just that scared little sheep, which I hate to think of myself like that sometimes as a veteran and as a law enforcement officer. But you know what? You got to humble yourself at some time because we get so used to being that voice of reason and that, what we say goes type thing, as long as we're in the aspect of the law or whatever. But, actually shutting down and being like, you know what? It's hard for us as law enforcement officers to let someone else take over. And take control.
Absolutely. Because we are in control.
Yes.
We're in charge. Yep.
Yes. And that's where I'm at with it. You know, I don't got it. It scares the crap out of me, but and I need to be more like that in more aspects of my life. But you know what? He's got it.
Yep.
Even if I don't. But that's why I want to learn more as far as the word goes and what is acceptable and what's not.
Yeah.
I'm interested in talking about things and learning about things, but at what point are you supposed to let well enough be alone,
Yeah.
But I think that we need to study to show ourselves approved and, do that stuff,
Well, awesome. Well, if you know the stories pop in your head, if not, we'll go and end it here.
Okay, sounds good.
And
Thanks for having me.
absolutely. Thanks for coming out here.
Yep.
And like I said, September, start listening. It'll be on here.
Absolutely.
And we'll see how it goes. Anybody listening has any questions, comments, concerns, please comment, like, subscribe, share it. With all the other videos, same as well. But yeah, I appreciate it. Have a good night. Be safe.